We find ourselves in this meek world where powers and technology go hand in hand, so after so much development time, everyone uses these skills in an almost usual way in a fairly calm world. However, out of nowhere one appears huge creature with the appearance of a toad destroying everything in its path. These 5 heroes face it, but its strength is not great, so this is where the file comes in and cold protagonist in his child stage which is going to save the situation. So in today we will review this story with a totally epic protagonist with a non-streamer cleaned by a bunch of rancid old men, the anime, and in this way we go a few years into the future already with the protagonist in his adolescent stage. He arrives at the academy trying to handle a low profile with a rather cold but imposing personality. This is where she meets the Wave, which is the popular girl who is good at basically everything, which she defends him from these sidekicks that we will not see again in the series, thanks her in a rather peculiar way, and leaves, so she feels quite ignored considering the fact that everyone adores her as the best Achilles. They say that to enter the academy requires a test in which to measure in what rank and class they are going to remain. They have to defeat this spiritual version of the beast that we saw before the otaku passes, and they realize that it is not so easy, so some lose, others really show his ability is still in Toledo, like this guy or his friend who pass with a more than decent score, but the one who stands out the most is the UAI Fu that takes over the elite class directly, and that well leaves everyone impressed except the protagonist. Now him, and just by stepping on the stage you feel his overwhelming power so much so that the beast realizes that he was the one who defeated him and decides to self-destruct so as not to be totalmente eliminated. In the same way he is taken to the elite class, in which on his first day they have to summon the typical spiritual pets which depend on the amount of power that each student has. They all summon quite normal pets until the protagonist arrives, and in an attempt to summon something simple he brings back the gigantic creature, but now as his pet. So to explain it, the protagonist is practically invincible from the day he was born, advanced in age with all kinds of skills that have not always been good, so his parents decide to put a seal on him that moderately helps him control his power. In this way, he decides to continue his life with a low profile towards friendship with these two, who are quite good people. From there the elections come, where the water and the girl we saw before, she wants to win in any way, in which the protagonist unwittingly helps her in some things and hurts her in others, so that's why thanks to this, she has a mess in her head because she doesn't know if this new guy is a good person. She ends up losing the elections. However, she decides to propose a date to the protagonist because she is already quite hooked on him, which she accepts without any problem. However, during the date will be chased by these two murderers who are quite unsuccessful and who are under the orders of this mysterious girl, which we will see later. We have a date full of funny moments and with a very romantic ending in which we can notice the chemistry that there is between these two characters. The next day we return to the school where the director tells them that now there is one or tournament in which they have to first measure the physical energy of each team through these handles, and whose tournament will be against another academy, school 59, with a pretty good power, at least until the protagonist arrives and shows so much power that not even Era can contain it and makes it automatically that in first place. The score is so crazy that they think it's a mistake. Meanwhile it's time to relax before the tournament. Everyone does what they want to visit their families, their hobbies, such as Ua and his streamer, the new religion for which, as a curious fact, it is simple fairy by the father of the bald man and by one of the teachers of the shady school. Where it really gets great is when each one must prepare to go to the tournament that will be held in the rival's academy, using the swords as tools. Each one prepares his own and that of the protagonist, although visually ugly. He has a powerful spirit in the form of this child. From there they arrive at school 59, which is the rival, where they are received by these 4 members which are quite strong, and a 5th member handles negative energy like that of the main character. Here we see again the mysterious rabbit girl looking for the way of being able to assassinate the Wi-Fi. Since she realizes that she cares so much about the protagonist, decides to kidnap. What the plan does not end up going very well for her because they end up rescuing the protagonist. However, the enemy manages to take the form of the 5th participant of the enemy team. Is how the tournament begins, in which we have these 2 teams of 5 which face each other in a domain of zones, something like capturing the flag, with 5 zones, each one representing an element at the beginning. We see how the rival school takes the forward since he manages to seize several of the altars, so his score goes up faster. What they expected us is that the protagonist was able to defeat the Colorado with a single push. Not even this, he simply touched him. What was not expected. One link is that the seal that was created to contain his power is about to be damaged, so the dog decides to help him or merge with him since he is an intense spirit, to absorb a part of the main character's power so that it doesn't get out of control, because there is a lot of detail, and that is that the seal that covers his power not only limits his powers but also his emotions, so that is why he is always so cold and distant from the others, and being so damaged we begin to perceive emotions that we did not see before, to which he begins to realize who his friends are and also who is the person he likes, which is me. Miral speaking Spanish music, so they organize a plan which works quite well if it weren't for the fact that the imposter is defeated by the bald man and ends up losing control, unleashing his true power, in which Wang Ling, the protagonist, takes advantage to complete the plan by seizing the last altar that was missing. All this while he thinks how important it is the Wi-Fi for him, but in this way everything is out of control at this moment since he reaches the mysterious girl hitting the Wi-Fi that directly took him out to the soul. All this in front of the protagonist, which makes him literally explode from the air, giving him one of the most epic beatings of this anime, although he still does not achieve anything since no matter how much power he has he will not be able to revive it, not even restarting the world. However, the dog tells him that there is a possibility which is creating a different world from the one they are in, and that basically the new world that the protagonist creates will consume the previous one. However, it requires too much power and is quite dangerous. The protagonist does not care and he decides to do it by achieving it, but in this new reality he doesn't have the girl who was trying to save all the events that the protagonist experienced. Now they are without her, so obviously he is going to feel that emptiness. While this happens, the old world continues consuming. Yes, what no the protagonist knows is that his girl's soul was not completely destroyed but ended up in the underworld with these people. Messages that are not important at all, so she is quickly sent back to the human body. She recovers her reason and tries to stop the protagonist, who at this moment is trapped in this new reality in which she is not. She ends up achieving it thanks to the fact that the crosses with a sword and these two characters meet again, managing to stop the world from being completely consumed. However, it is already too much in ruins, so the protagonist has no choice but to turn back time just at the moment in which the villain he obviously loses control, so that he doesn't eliminate the protagonist, and he succeeds too well. Even he doesn't let her even move, so in this way events change. The protagonist's team ends up winning the tournament. The girl is still alive, and apparently until this point the story concludes quite happily. However, this story deserves a continuation, but don't worry because it's over, confirmed its second season. Those who can't stand it can continue with the manga, so if you guys watch this video until now, so like this video and hit the subscription button for future update. Thanks.